Hello, and welcome to Music Appreciation, MUL 2010 at Pensacola State College. This is the asynchronous online version of the course. My name is Dr. Benjamin Rawlings. I'm a pianist and organist and a music teacher, and I'll be your instructor for this course. I put together this video to kind of help you get started. I know there's a lot of things you can probably figure out on your own, but sometimes it's helpful to have someone go through this with you. So I hope you find this helpful. So I'm starting out here in Canvas. Hopefully you know how to get to Canvas. And I would suggest before you do anything, go to the syllabus over here on the left. Now, I know you're probably groaning. You don't want to hear me go through all of this. This is a very long syllabus, but I do encourage you to read all of it on your own. I'll go through a couple things that I think are important. So beginning with the course description. So it says that this is a survey of classical music, and that is true, but we'll also be talking about music in general. What is music, for instance? We'll talk about the various components of music: pitch, rhythm, melody, harmony, and how that all fits together. We'll also be talking about various musical instruments and certain compositional things like form and texture. And we will actually have a history of music, but keep in mind that music has been around probably since humans have been around, maybe before that. And if you were to create a timeline, you would see that if we go from antiquity, which is really going to be more like the medieval period, all the way up to the present day, we're talking thousands of years. And most of the music probably doesn't span more than 100 years. I could be wrong. I know some of you probably have a lot of experience listening to music on your own, but keep in mind that we have a lot of history to cover, so we won't really get into popular music that much. And the way we use the word classical is, at least in the colloquial sense, it's a very broad definition. A lot of the film music we hear being written today would be considered classical music, even though some people think classical music is just slow and boring and old. That's not exactly true, but it depends on the exact definition we're talking about. There's the classical period, which includes composers like Mozart, Beethoven, and Haydn, and then there's we talk about classical music in general, which is a much broader category than you might think. And do keep in mind that the divide between popular music and classical music wasn't what it is today. Back then, popular music and classical music were the same. I mean, people would go to opera, and that was popular at the time, in various countries at least. So anyway, just to give you a heads up, we're not going to get into the history of music until the very end of the semester. We're going to build a vocabulary, as it were, for music, so we can talk about things like pitch and form and texture and melody, and know what those things mean. So when we go into the history of music, we can use all these terms and understand each other. So do know a lot of the beginning of the course is just kind of laying the groundwork for that. All right, so depending on when you're watching this video, you might be in a different semester. You might be in the C session as opposed to the A session, so some of the dates on here that you're seeing might be different. So as far as your required materials, it has this textbook here, but it's not really a textbook. It's a website with your online reading materials and listening materials. And you purchase it like you would a textbook, but what you're really going to be purchasing is an access code to access the website. And I'll be showing you how to do that. And it's a custom website for this particular course section. I do have a book that I highly recommend you read by Aaron Copland called What to Listen For in Music. I think it's a great title. Most of us probably think we know how to listen to music, right? I mean, how hard can it be unless we don't have ears? But actually, the fact that it says what to listen for in music, that says a lot. Most of us probably listen to music rather casually and we enjoy it, but we're not listening to it maybe as analytically or in as detailed as a fashion as we could. So he talks about what things we can be listening for, and once you kind of know what to listen for, it actually makes it more enjoyable. Just like if you were to take an art course, and let's say the instructor kind of gave you an idea of what brushes the painter used, what special oils the painter used, and the fact that certain colors are clashing or were normally forbidden in academia. These things would draw your attention when you would look at that particular painting, and it would make it more enjoyable because you know what you're looking at rather than just kind of absorbing it at face value. So anyway, I do encourage you to read this book. I actually include a chapter in the course website, but this is optional. You do not need to have this book. It's just something you might look into if you enjoy what we talk about in this course. If you enjoy music in general, I encourage you to read that book. But we'll be using this online website, this On Music Appreciation 4th edition. Okay, so let's skip down to specific course requirements. So the most important thing is you will need to listen to music. Surprise, surprise. Now, as I was kind of hinting at, it's not enough to just listen to music casually. We're going to need to listen to music without any distractions and to try to focus on it as much as we can. Many of us are visual learners, so it's hard to focus and hold our attention to just sound. So it can be kind of challenging, but I encourage you to find a quiet space to do your listening. Maybe use headphones, but try not to have any distractions. And don't just listen to it once. Listen to it at least 3 times. That may seem kind of overkill, but believe me, that's a minimum. The more we listen to music, the more we hear the structure, the more we hear the little details, and the more we like it. And this goes for not just beginners or amateurs, but professionals as well, professional musicians. Some of my favorite pieces were pieces when the first time I heard them, I thought they were awful. So for instance, the Prokofiev Piano Concerto No. 2 in G minor, I thought was an ugly piece. It was dissonant and harsh, and I did not care for it at all. But after listening to it several times and knowing a little bit more about its history, I've come to love it. I mean, it's so dark and it's passionate, and I know the composer wrote it after the tragic death of one of his closest friends, and he was dealing with the emotions of that. And so when you know a little bit of the background of a piece of music, the more you enjoy it. The more you hear things like specific melodies that maybe you didn't hear the first time. So I highly suggest that you listen to music more than just once, ideally 3 times or more. So that's the first big requirement, other than of course reading the course material. The other is you will need to attend at least 3 concerts. These are live concerts, and they're concerts that are on a specific list. You can find the list in the module section here, which I can pull up real quick. There it is right there. You can pull that up and you can see what concerts are available. Again, if you're looking at this at a different time, your concerts might be different. And these are going to be mainly classical and jazz concerts. We do have a musical here called The Unsinkable Molly Brown. That's kind of a play with singing. And I would encourage you to go to different things. Don't just go to the jazz things on here. Don't just go to the choral things. Try to do a little bit of everything. I would highly suggest everyone go to at least one symphony concert, the Pensacola Symphony, which is fantastic. There's something amazing about having 50 plus musicians all playing together, all these different instruments, and playing this amazing music. So try to go to at least one symphony concert. Another thing to consider is try to get this requirement out. Try to get it done ahead of time. So many students, and I understand this, I procrastinate too, but so many students, they wait till the last minute and they try to go to the very last concert, and that's not a good idea. Number one, life happens. You never know if a family emergency might come up, or sometimes these concerts get canceled. A lot of the concerts at the very end of the list, they run out of tickets. That has happened to students many times. They wait till last minute, try to get their ticket, and it's not available. So do try to, I would encourage you to just get them done as soon as you can, especially early on in the semester when the coursework is kind of light. As we get through more and more, things are going to get, you're going to have longer readings, and of course all your other courses are going to probably add to your stress and everything, and you want to go to these concerts and really just enjoy them. The nice thing is you don't necessarily have to write a big long concert review. I do want you to write a little bit in the discussion forum about your experience at each of these concerts, but you don't have to write more than a paragraph, really. So so on this list, it'll show you where you can go, who to contact for tickets. A lot of these things don't require tickets. The things that do, the tickets might be free, or you can get tickets that are available to you as a student through Pensacola State. So more information on that you can find here. Do you know some of these tickets, if you were to pay out of pocket, would be $40 or even over $100. So the fact that the school has a limited number of tickets available for you, I think you really should take advantage of that. All right, you're not going to be a student forever, at least not at Pensacola State. So take advantage of all these opportunities. If you do not live in the Pensacola area, if you live more than 90 minutes away, please contact me as soon as possible. We'll have to work out something out. You'll still have to attend live concerts, so we'll have to find some in your area, and then that all has to be approved by the chair of the department. So it's a kind of complicated process, but we'll accommodate you and make it work. But we need to get that straightened out as soon as possible. So please contact me at the beginning of the semester so we can work out some other concert list that you'll use. Everyone else, these are the concerts to go to. You cannot pick out things. We're not going on YouTube or anything like that. As good as YouTube is, there's nothing like going to an actual concert. So just to kind of give you an idea of what it will be like, maybe it won't be quite as good as this. This is an orchestra in Germany. Hilary Hahn is playing the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. But for a lot of these concerts, they're going to be classical concerts. You're expected to kind of go business casual. You're expected to be quiet, no photography, no using your phone or anything like that. That can be very distracting to the performers. This kind of music is very demanding and takes years and years of study to be able to perform it well, and you don't want to do anything that will disturb the performers or the people around you that have come to listen to the concert. So anyway, here's a little sample of what you might hear. Okay, so anyway, so you might think, well, why don't we just use YouTube? But the truth is, it's so much better live. The quality of the sound, the energy of the event, it's so much better live. So we're giving you the opportunity to do that. Going back to the syllabus, Again, you're required to go to 3 concerts, and for every concert you do not go to, so say you only go to 2, that means a lowering of your final grade by 1 letter. So if you only go to 1 concert, and let's say you have a B, that goes down to a D. Okay, so watch out for that. That's why I'm saying try to get this the requirement out of the way soon. Now, and this is written down further in the syllabus, but if you go to 2 additional concerts, you'll be given extra credit. So if you go to 1 extra concert, so let's say you go to 4 concerts altogether, you'll get 5% added to your final grade. If you go to 2 additional concerts, so 5 altogether, you'll get a full letter grade, so 10%. So if you have a B plus, that'll push you up to an A. So I would encourage you to go to that. I mean, it's one of the easier requirements. All you have to do is be there. Now, to prove that you were there, you're going to need to meet. There will be a concert monitor there from a representative of Pensacola State, who will usually there'll be a sign with a banner that says Pensacola State on there, and you'll meet with the monitor. You'll sign in before the concert. You want to get there early, okay? You want to get there at least 15 minutes before the concert starts. Get there early. You're going to sign a card putting your name, the name of your instructor, and the course number, I believe. You circle that. And then you can sit down and you enjoy the concert, and then when it's over, you come back and then you sign out. And this is to make sure you attend the whole thing, okay? I think it's pretty sad that students don't want to necessarily attend the full concert. To me, I mean, I pay money to go to these things, and I can't always go to them. So anyway, that's what that's all about. I do encourage you to hold on to your ticket stub, hold on to your program. The program tells you what pieces are being performed, just as an additional proof that you were there in case, and this has been known to happen, in case the monitor doesn't show up or something happens with your records, with your concert attendance record. So just to be on the safe side, hold on to your ticket. You might also take a picture before and after the concert with the venue in the background. Just know you can't use your phone during the performance, okay? So this would just be before and after the performance. That's additional proof that I would encourage you to do just in case. You don't have to send it to me unless I ask for it. That's rare that I need any additional proof, but it has been known to happen where, something gets lost. So hopefully that clears up everything for that. A lot of people, when they sign up for this course, they don't realize that they have to attend live concerts. So I want to get that out of the way as soon as possible so you know what to expect. All right, we can skip through this. Again, please read it on your own. If you have any disabilities, be sure to contact ADA services. They can give you additional time on these the final exam, the midterm exam, or they can do other things too. Be sure to contact them at the beginning of the semester because any accommodations cannot be made retroactively. So I encourage you to do that if you have any learning disability or any other disability. Moving right along. So here's my information. Again, my name is Dr. Benjamin Rawlings. I do have an office in Building 8 on the Pensacola campus. I'm not there very often, and when I am there, I'm usually not in my office. I'm usually accompanying students in lessons. So don't bother trying to call me on this number. I mean, you can leave a message, of course, but the best way to contact me is email. And be sure to use your student email or use Canvas. You need to use the institutional email that was given to you. Otherwise, I'm not obligated to reply to it. In fact, I'm not really supposed to reply to it. Everything has to be through approved channels. Here's the department head if you need to contact him. Here's our course schedule. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this, but be sure to go through that. The most important thing is, even though this isn't an asynchronous course, quote unquote, most of your assessments do have due dates, and they will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can get them done early. In fact, I encourage you to get them done early, but do know if you don't make it to to the due date, if you're late on something or you forgot, you will not be able to continue in the course. I basically have to go in there and give you special permission to continue. And I have the right to assign a 0 for any missed work. So do try to get your work done ahead of time. We have assessments due the first week of class, and I'm a little lenient the first week of class because I know people are adding and dropping. So you have till Saturday to catch up with anything, and that includes registering your course content. If you don't do all those things by Saturday, I will withdraw you from the course. Now, moving on, there's some other dates here, the withdrawal deadline and all that stuff. By the way, if I notice that people have not been doing work for more than 2 weeks, if they just haven't even logged in and haven't done anything, I will withdraw them. Because if you don't keep up, it's very easy to get an F in this class. If you do keep up, it's quite straightforward to get an A. So do try to stick with this schedule. All right, very important. In fact, before you do anything else, I would encourage you to go to the attendance verification quiz. This is kind of a new thing that everyone's required to do. So you go to quizzes, and you'll notice I right-click and open things in new tabs just because it's more convenient. And you're going to do this attendance verification quiz. Notice it says remotely proctored. So there is an add-on that you need in the Chrome browser called Proctorio. Some of you might be familiar with that. Basically, it's going to use a webcam, and it is there to prove that you are the person you say you are taking this course. So you need a computer with a webcam, or I guess your phone might work, but basically you have to download the add-on. For more information on this, you can find that on the left here under Proctorio proctoring information. That'll kind of help you get started with that. So go ahead and take that quiz. It won't take very long. You will have to show your student ID. I know it's kind of a pain, but this is all just kind of for security reasons and to make sure that again, you are who you say you are. So please do that before you do anything else, before you do any assignments or even register your course content. If you do not do the quiz, you will be dropped from the class. Okay, going back to the syllabus. Okay, so the way this works is most of everything you're going to be doing is going to be done on the Connect for Education website. Okay, I'll show you how to register that and how to get into that and how to access your materials and everything. Altogether, including the midterm and the final exam, that's going to be 84% of your final grade. The rest is going to come from writing in a discussion forum, which will also be on that website. Each post that you make every week is going to be 1% of your final grade. So each post only has to be really a paragraph, at least 4 sentences, okay, for it to count, and it's due every week. So don't forget about that, because it adds up after a while. 1% for one paragraph, that's really not much to ask. So be sure to keep up with that. And of course, we've already talked about the concert requirement. Okay, but that's not a percentage. It's just you're expected to go to 3 concerts. If you don't, depending on how many you miss, your grade will drop from that. Okay. So I already kind of talked about the assessments. I'll show you what these assessments look like. They're just little quizzes. Most of them only have about 10 questions, but you're expected to listen to things and then answer multiple choice questions. You only take each assessment once, and you have to do it before the due date. And you cannot go out of order. You have to go in order. It will not let you take an assessment that's due several weeks in advance. Now, again, you can get all these done early. I've had a student basically do all the requirements except the midterm like the first week of class, okay, and did really well. She even did all her discussion posts, in the first week. So it's possible to do that if you really want to. You just can't do things late. So there will be a midterm and a final. Those will be rather cumulative, much more in depth and longer. Of course, you have 2 hours to do them. There's a specific opening. There's a window when you can take that. Or, both of those tests, midterm and final. I already talked about the listening. Already talked about the forum. We'll go into that. Yeah. So there's some information here about what you would write about after going to a concert. Again, it's just a paragraph, but I do want you to write down date of the concert, what pieces were performed, that kind of stuff. Because I don't always know what is being performed on these concerts. I live over an hour away myself, so I can't go to these most of the time, even though I would love to. So it helps me to know what was on the program. Already talked about extra credit, and that's about it for the syllabus. So again, do read it through carefully before fully committing to this course. Like I said, a lot of people don't understand that there's a live concert attendance requirement. And as far as the rest of the things on Canvas, there's stuff in the modules section. There's some links here that you can also find elsewhere. I put it on the home page. Here's your concert list, and there's a chapter from What to Listen For in Music, that book by Aaron Copland I was telling you about. But you're not going to find your assignments here. It kind of, this is where I'll put the final grades at the very, very end of the semester, but you're not going to really know your grade until you take the finals. So to keep track of what your grade is, you're going to be using the Connect for Education website. This is just where I put the average from all of that at the end of the semester. Okay, so let's go back to the home page here in Canvas. And I have some links for you, and you have a link to watch this video. So let's go to here to purchase the course kit. It'll take you to the publisher's website. Now you can go to the Pensacola State Bookstore, but the problem is we've had problems with students not getting their access code right away. Sometimes it took more than 24 hours. Sometimes it took longer than that. And that can be a real problem if you're trying to get everything registered and start your coursework, on time. So I would encourage you to just get it straight from the publisher. It's the same price as far as I know, and you'll get your access code a lot quicker. Plus, they have great tech support. If you try contacting the Pensacola State Bookstore, they're notorious for not getting back to you, especially at the beginning of the semester when they're just swamped with work. So yeah, it's $109 or $110. I know that seems a lot, but keep in mind this is just like getting a textbook, a required textbook, but it's more than that. Some courses you get the textbook and you hardly use it. We're going to be using this intensively, and it has more than just the text. It has your music examples, it has some video, it has interactive things, especially when we start learning about how music is notated. You have like a little keyboard you can play on, things like that. So it's worth it. Okay. I really don't want to hear any excuses why you can't afford it. Honestly, that's what credit cards are for. You're gonna have to make some sacrifices. I'm sorry, but you got to have this all registered, okay, by the first week of class, really as soon as you can. So you add it to your cart, you pay for it like you would normally, and they should give you an access code. Once you've done that, you go to this next link here, and you'll get this page. Okay, this is where you're going to register your access code. So you'll go here under school, you'll put in Pensacola State College. There it is. Okay, you'll put me as the instructor. You'll put the semester, and then you want to make sure you pick the right section number for the course. Okay, otherwise you might get a completely different schedule, and it's a pain in the neck to move you from one section to another. Okay, so make sure you really check this part. Okay. Everything else can be fixed easier, but this is very important. Okay, here's where you're going to put your access code. You put your login name, password, Okay, please put your full first name and full last name, because don't put an initial or anything like that. First of all, I mean, anyone who's taking this course can see who you are, but sometimes it puts things out of order on the roster. So please put your full name, especially your last name. Okay, same. And then, as I said, with communicating with me, use your student email. Do not use your personal email here, okay? Because this will be visible to me. I believe your phone number will be visible too. That's obviously not an option. That may not be visible. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's how you register. That should be fairly painless. Once you've done that, then you go to this third link. And once you go to the third link, you'll be taken to a page that looks like this. Now, I'm logging out because I was already logged in, but this is where you put in your username and your password. Don't forget your password, okay? I mean, you can get it back. You can contact tech support, but do keep in mind that tech support is not always available, especially on weekends. All right, so I'm going to log in, and one of the things about this website, it's great in a lot of ways, but it is a little slow to load. Now, you may or may not get a page that looks like this. This shows all the times I've taught this course. So I'm going to pull up this particular section. Your section may be different. Just keep that in mind. And here we go. This is where we have to wait a long time for it to load. Okay. So here's your home page, and on the right, I just have this little welcome page. A lot of this stuff you can find in the syllabus. There's not a whole lot new here. I talk about how busy my schedule is, blah, blah, blah. This is more important. This is where you can find technical support. I know you can Google it too, but this is the email and the phone number you can call. Do keep in mind they're only available Monday through Friday, during business hours. So if you like to do a lot of your work during weekends, I understand, but just keep in mind if you need help, it's going to be harder to get help. So just want you to be aware of that. There's only so much I can do. Like if you're having trouble logging in or something like that, there's not much I can do. I can make some suggestions, like changing your browser or refreshing your page, but that's about all I can do. I can help you with the actual material. If you have any questions about music or any questions about requirements in the course, of course I can help you with that. But technical things, I'm less able to. All right, now on the left, you'll see a bunch of stuff, and this might look a little confusing. So what I would do is I would click on these gray bars here, and that opens up things under that particular section, okay? I would probably just go through and open up everything, and it'll stay open, and that way, the chances are you're not going to forget something, but if you're like me, you probably like to have everything available, and you can just see everything at a glance. All right, so going through this a little bit, there's some stuff you can read, including, you can figure out what the minimum system requirements are for this course. There's a description guide. There's actually another guide in Canvas, which I can show you real quick. If you're having trouble registering, if you go under modules, this right here, Connect for Education Student Guide, you can go look at that. That can kind of help you get registered if you don't want to watch this video or if you don't understand the video. And then we have the discussion forums here. You can also access that up here on this top menu, okay? This is where you're going to find your grade book. You're going to find, the help center. Here's your discussion forum. That's going to be right there. You can also access it here, which is kind of nice. Here's a chapter of that book I was telling you about. And then here's another copy of the concert list. If it ever gets updated, I will update it here and also on Canvas. All right, so then we get to, here's our first week, and then there's 2 classes for every week, unless there's like Thanksgiving break or something, or a holiday, like Memorial Day or something. So here's what's due on Tuesday, here's what's due on Thursday, okay? Again, try to get these done before the due dates, Okay, I like to pretend, they're due on Monday or Wednesday. I'll be sending you reminders via email, and I'll be sending them usually the day before they're due. So just in case you're getting busy and you forgot. So your first assessment is right here, the syllabus and course requirements assessment. And what's nice about this is it's open book. I'm allowing you to go look at the syllabus and anything else like the concert list to go ahead and take this. We can go ahead and just preview it. All right, so a lot of these questions are multiple choice. Okay, you select one, and then you can use this quiz navigation to go forward or backward. And I'm not going to do this for you. You can figure that out. And then you're going to hit this button, finish attempt, and it'll ask you, are you sure you want to do this? And you say yes. And once you do that, it's locked in. You cannot take it again. Okay, you only take each assessment one time. So going back, again, this might take a little while. Oh no, let's just go to the other tab. Okay, so let's go to some of our readings. So here's the first reading. This is just an overview of our first section. Okay, you can kind of go through this little outline here. Okay. Now, you can use these arrows to go back and forth through the material just like you would in a textbook. This will go to the next page. Or again, if you're like me, you might just open things in separate tabs. Okay, so then this will be your very, very first reading. And over here, you can see there's some helpful things like if you want to, if you want to test yourself before taking the assessment, if you want to go over specific keywords. Okay, and this is showing all the keywords, by the way, not just the ones in this section, but these are references that you can use. There's also videos. If you want to see people actually playing this stuff, that's kind of nice. It's one thing to listen to music, but it's nice to have a visual reference. Okay, and you can also listen to this lecture, which is kind of neat. So if you're in the car and you've been very busy and you need to review something, that can be a helpful thing. Okay, so all that's here. So you read these things. If you're not sure what a word like ensemble means, you can click on it and it'll bring a dictionary and it'll tell you what it is. It's a group of musicians, okay, that perform as a unit. And then we have some listening examples. All right. And you'll compare and contrast. You'll be asked to kind of analyze what you're listening to, what instruments you might be hearing, things like that. And that's about it. So again, you might want to listen to these more than once. I might have additional listening examples or different versions of these listening examples that might be better quality. The quality of these audio examples are not always the best. They're maybe not the best performers. They're adequate, but there's copyright issues that publishers have to deal with. So I can always give you links to things on YouTube if we need it. So I hope that's clear. I hope that kind of explains what you're doing for a lot of this. And a lot of this you can just kind of explore around. Like I said, you can't take an assessment out of order. You have to go in order. And there's these little reminders, including for stuff in the discussion forum. So let's look at that real quick. Okay. All right. So there's basically 3 sections. Let's just go in reverse order, starting at the bottom. So the tech support questions. Yeah, if you have questions about things, you're welcome to put it in there, but almost no one ever puts anything in that. That's just there if you want to put it there, in case there's like a something you want to ask the whole group. Okay, concert discussions. So after you go to a concert, within a day or so, you probably want to go in there and write about your experience. You can find more information about what exactly you're going to write about in the syllabus, and that will count as long as it's at least 4 sentences. Okay. But other than concerts, sometimes I'll be presenting a topic for the week, and you can answer the question, or you should answer the question I give you. It might be more than one question. And the way you do that, well, you go ahead and click on this, And please read through my post. Now, my posts are not always this long. This is probably overkill, but a lot of times, it'll be a paragraph or two. Be sure to read through it, and then when you're going to answer, go down here to reply. So you hit reply, and then you can you can put your reply in there. You type it in, you hit post to forum. I'm not going to do that, but you can. And that's only if you're replying to a question I present. And that keeps it in the same thread. So everyone should reply to that, and you should be able to read your classmates' answers as well. So you can, get other ideas. And please read what your classmates write, even if you don't feel like replying. Now, on other weeks, I'm not going to present a topic. You are going to. So to create your own topic, you're going to go up here to the green button here, add a new discussion topic. You put in your subject, and then you put in your message here. And by the way, if you're going to put in a link, you could just copy and paste something, but it's not gonna present it as a link. So what you would do is you'd highlight it, and then you go over to this little button here. It says link, and then you actually put the URL here. So if I really want to put YouTube in there, for instance, if I have a link, or it could be anything, it could be an article or something, then it'll actually create something here. And if you have a video, it'll put a video in here. So that's kind of nice. So I'm not going to save that, but that's how you create a topic. So if you have any other questions, and chances are there's some things I probably forgot to mention, please feel free to reach out to me at my email address. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great beginning of the semester. I wish you the best, and I hope you enjoy this. Music's a great topic. It's what I've devoted most of my life to, and I hope my enthusiasm for music comes across.